Okay, good morning, people, and welcome. I don't see many students, but then they may join on the way. I've explained to y'all yesterday as to how we are going to go about the internal assessment, and around 9 students have responded with their topics also. So I assume that you have understood what needs to be done, and we'll go ahead. But as we go ahead, I would revise something that we have done earlier. And this was the role of physical factors in agriculture. We have taken up a few, as I said, because we have done a few of them. I would be just revising them to you. Uh, the point that we could not record them the other day, that's the reason I'm taking it uh, here and now. Okay, influence of relief on agriculture. If you remember the other day, we discussed what actually the relief of a particular area is. In geographical terms, it's basically, sorry, sorry, it's basically the difference between the highest point and the lowest point in a particular region. Now, the region could be on a small scale, it could be on a large scale. Obviously, for a agricultural area, it has to be in on a large scale. Okay, that means you need to know more details basically, because agricultural practice is on a human scale, and as a consequence, if you bring in more area, it becomes difficult to understand the agricultural practice in a particular region, keeping the relief in mind. Okay, because as I said, that agriculture is a practice which is followed, or or I would say which is done, operated on a large scale in smaller areas as such. We'll see that difficulty in agricultural practice initially was with reference to hilly regions. In hilly regions, obviously, you're going to have a lesser amount of cultivated area. Okay, because hilly regions will have a slope. Okay, the second point, in fact, it says that cultivation on a sloping ground is going to be relatively difficult. If the slope gets to be steeper, you'll see that the soil cannot hold on to the surface. And because the soil cannot hold on to the surface, what happens is that the thickness of the soil tends to decrease, and with a lack of a comfortable layer of soil, cultivation is going to be a bit difficult in those areas. Right? That's the very reason what makes sorry cultivation that makes cultivation much easier in a floodplain. Floodplains are comparatively flat, and they are deposited with silt layers with every flood every year. So there is a significant thickness of soil. You must have studied this in regional geography of India, that the Gangetic plains are significantly thick with a lot of alluvium, which is brought by the respective rivers from the Himalayan regions and so on and so forth. That's why you'll see that states lining the rivers from the Himalayas, that's the Ganga, Yamuna flowing through Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, etc. The thickness of the soil is significantly high. On the other hand, you'll see that on a sloping ground in a hilly region, the quality of soil is not appreciably good when you particularly compare it with soil which is there in the uh, plain regions or the floodplain regions, we would say. Uh, on slopy surfaces, I would say the texture of the soil is significantly large, and if you don't have finer or coarse finer soil or silty soil as such, the plants, the roots of the plants are not able to hold on. So if you are to come up with cultivation in sloping areas, you have to make special preparations, and that preparation is called as um, terrace farming. And given the area that you are able to terrace up in on a sloping surface, you'll see that use of machinery and other things in those small patches is very difficult. So cultivation in such areas gets furthermore difficult as such. As we move ahead, you'll see that relief and means of transport. You'll see that in plain areas, you have higher density of transport. If you see the transport map of India or the road map of India, you'll see that you'll see even the railway map of India, as a matter of fact, a higher density of roads and railways are found in areas wherein you have plain areas. And of course, as you go to higher regions, the density decreases, okay, significantly. And you'll see that in hilly regions, these hilly regions produce less amount of agricultural produce to start with. And in that case, you'll see that producing something in hilly regions and bringing it down to the plains, I was explaining it to you the other day, that cultivation cost would be much, much less as far as plain areas are concerned as compared to the hilly regions. And bringing the product, in case you have a produce, bringing that particular product all the way down to the plains and selling it becomes very a costly affair. So relief and the means of transport become equally important in such regions as such. Then we come to relief and climate. Okay, you'll see that as far as relief and climate aspect is concerned, uh, uh, we know that as the height increases, the temperatures decrease and the weather becomes cooler at say it at heights like Ladakh, etc. It becomes so cool that it's very difficult to sustain um, agricultural produce, and as a consequence, you'll see that in areas wherein temperatures would fall below 15 degrees, particularly, it's very difficult to take an agricultural produce. Along with the fact that temperatures may fall down, you'll see that the air here is very thin, and at that particular height, say if you're speaking about Ladakh, which is 3,000 meters above mean sea level, the intensity of the sun's rays becomes very pointed, and you'll see that it's very intense. So cultivating crops here would further be a significant task. And that is why you'll see that in very high regions, people grow very hard type of crops like hard barley, etc. Uh, you'll see that at times they will cultivate pulses also, root vegetables also. Of course, they need to use manure. मॅन्युअर म्हणजे खत म्हणूयात आपण त्याला, ऑर्गॅनिक खत ज्याला ज्याला आपण मॅन्युअर म्हणू शकतो. You'll see that these types of agricultural practices are carried on in central Himalayas, and it's also carried on in uh, other areas towards the east, okay, where the rainfall is more. But you see that if you see the alignment of the Himalayas, normally what we think is that the Himalaya is parallel to any latitude as such, but you'll see that it is not that. Western Himalayas are in a higher latitude and the eastern Himalayas are in the lower latitude. And if I see this, you'll see that it curves into a crescent. The Himalayas curve into a crescent. So when I'm speaking about Ladakh, etc., which is towards the Western Himalayas, it's not only is the height, average height of the Western Himalayas higher, you'll see that the temperatures are lower. We're going to see how temperature is going to affect it as well. So cultivation of crops is going to be difficult there, but as you come down towards the central Himalayas and the eastern Himalayas, you'll see that practice of agriculture could be done. Of course, it's not as easy as it could be done in plain areas. There are going to be hardships, right from the size of the field to temperatures to moisture and all. But relatively, you could take up some crops at least as such. Okay, and what they do normally is on sloping grounds they take up local vegetables, etc. So you'll see that in respective environmental conditions they can produce these crops as such. Okay, then sorry. Then the next aspect is this is something that I showed you the other day as to how the type of crop changes with height as well. Then relief and pastures. Okay, you'll see that meadows, they are called as meadows in some areas and they are called as pastures in some areas. You'll see that these are regions, hilly regions at considerable heights where sheep and goat are reared. Okay, now because of the height, you'll see that larger animals like cattle and buffaloes cannot be reared there. So smaller animals are kept as animals here, and you'll see that these pastures are found in many regions of the world. The Mediterranean, see the Mediterranean, Europe, in the Alps, Southwest Asia, hilly regions of India and Pakistan, China, Russia, Africa, Northern and Southern America, and of course Australia. Okay, uh, you'll see that if in higher regions, what happens is though it may not support an agricultural activity, the hilly regions in the hilly regions, you'll see that cool hilly regions, soft and short grass can be found in abundance, and there is some humidity in the air, so that keeps on maintaining the uh, greenness of this particular grass as such. And what happens is rearing smaller animals in the farm, like goat and sheep, is easier in these regions, but rearing larger animals, because it may get cooler during the nights, etc. So it gets very difficult. And you'll see that if you particularly see the size, if you compare the size of a goat and a cow, you'll see that the size is larger, and obviously the amount of food required is going to be larger. And in higher regions, the length of the grass is relatively shorter. So the larger animals with larger heads, say for example, a cow will not be able to reach the short grass that grows in the pastures here. So we'll see that these higher mountainous regions, like say for example Kashmir and Himachal Pradesh and Sikkim in India, and you go beyond India into Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq, higher latitudes will have good pastures, but then the length of the grass blades are going to be less, and as a consequence, rearing is limited to goat and sheep only. Okay, so that is one thing. Okay, this is one picture of nomadic herdsmen. These are the Gurjars. Okay, and then no, not the Gurjars. Okay, these are the shepherds. One type of shepherd. Let me just check. Um, the local population in these parts is called as Bhutia. This is the Bhutia. Okay, they come in the past. They come to these pastures in May and graze their sheep, goat, etc. For in extensive pastures. These pastures are called as digial. Digial. Oh God, what have I done? Just a moment. Yeah, and let me hide this. It's not required right now. Yeah, okay. All these. Okay, so these are called as digels. And in the month of October, with the beginning of winter, they down the valleys into the plains. हे बघा हे काश्मीरमध्ये they are called as Gujars. Okay. You have many of such grazing pastures in India, and say we have seen these various discussions which will help us understand that relief will have a definite effect as far as agricultural produce is concerned. Then we come to climate and agriculture. This is one of the major topics. Now, as far as climate is concerned, you'll see that, like relief, you'll see that climate has a significant influence. In fact, it's written as great influence on agricultural production. It determines regional production. In fact, you'll see that if we study in history, that colonization is a direct output of climatic variations, and the people in the temperate regions wanted to come down to tropics and identify these crops. So climate becomes plays a very important role as far as agriculture is concerned. Uh, when we speak about climate and crops, okay, there are various elements from the climate which are going to make an impact as far as agricultural practice is concerned. Here they are, okay, and we need to go into the details of each of them one by one. That's temperature, humidity, sunshine, air, soil, and evaporation. Okay, each of them are important, I would say, and we are going to check the importance of each of them. You'll see that as far as temperature is concerned, uh, when it comes to crops particularly, okay, you'll see that there is a definite span between which crops find themselves to be comfortable. Now within that, you're going to have again have different crops that would suit certain temperatures as such. So there is going to be a lower limit of temperature in which crops can be cultivated, and there is going to be a higher limit, and majority of the crops can be sustained within this particular region, range of temperatures, I would rather say. Okay. Besides that, there are other factors, and we are going to go into them one by one. Okay. When we speak about temperatures, they bring about various changes. We have studied how temperature brings about changes in our lectures in climatology, and if you remember, we spoke about frosts also. Two types of frost that we spoke about: advection and radiation. Though there we studied them with reference to the climatic importance, here you'll see that it's very important to study them with reference to the impact they're going to have as far as agriculture is concerned. Of course, man has found out ways in which crops can be protected from frost, like lighting a fire or making making a smoke. This is generally practiced in the Mediterranean regions. आता आजकल you'll see कि electric furnaces are also used in these regions. Okay, then you have something which is called as frost-free season. Now, all this is related to areas which turn very cold, okay, in certain parts of the year, or those which may have very cold winters as such. Okay, those who have an appreciably high temperature throughout the year may not require all these things to be done, particularly the tropical areas, the equatorial areas. म्हणजे तुम्ही कोपेनचं क्लासिफिकेशन केलं असायला पाहिजे तुमच्या प्रॅक्टिकलमध्ये. आय डोंट रिमेंबर if you have it in your syllabus as far as the practicals are concerned. But one of the factors of the A type of climate is concerned, that's the equatorial climate. How do you identify an A type of climate? Minimum temperatures for the year, annual minimum temperatures is 18 degrees. So you'll see that in equatorial regions, temperatures do not fall below 18 degrees uh, as uh, as such. So you may not require all these problems, or you may not have these problems like frost, etc., in such regions. In fact, immediately beyond the tropics, also immediately beyond the equatorial regions, also in the tropics as such, you will not find uh, the problem of frost. But as you go on climbing latitudes, I would rather say for example 30 degrees of latitude and beyond that, in north and southern hemispheres, you'll see that in respective areas you may start having the problems of frost, and thus you have to look for the frost free season to cultivate the crop of your choice as such. Moisture is something which is again very important. You'll see that uh, when we are referring to crops which we human beings have cultivated uh, as civilization products as such, you'll see that such crops have a very narrow range of certain aspects. I already spoke about the fact that टेम्परेचर तापमान जे आहे की ते एका पर्टिक्युलर स्पॅनमध्ये लागतं. जास्त टेम्परेचर असून सुद्धा चालत नाही, कमी टेम्परेचर होऊन सुद्धा चालणार नाहीये. At the same time, you'll see that moisture is going to be equally important, आणि ह्याचं सुद्धा तसंच आहे की फार कमी पाणी सुद्धा आपल्याला चालत नाही, आणि फार जास्त पाणी सुद्धा आपल्याला चालत नाही. फार कमी पाणी असलं तर झाड वाळून जाणार आहे. ओके, आणि जास्त पाणी असेल तर ते सडून जाणार आहे. Okay, so moisture is something again which is having said this, both temperature and moisture are very vital. Of course, all others also, these are very vital components when it comes to uh, cultivation of crops as such. Okay, so uh, as I already said, that heavy rains are going to destroy the crops, and no rain also is going to destroy is going to destroy the crops. Okay, so if there is too much of moisture in the soil, the quantity of oxygen that should reach the roots is going to be less, and as a consequence, the crop may not grow to that optimal level as such. Okay, then you'll see that when we speak about um, temperature and moisture, okay, a combination of these two is again another aspect which tends to be uh, taken into consideration when we are looking into uh, agricultural produce as such. And this is called as evaporation. Okay, we'll see that the perfect balance is going to be wherein the precipitation and the evaporation are in a balance. You will see that where the precipitation is more and the evaporation is less, you're going to have the area flooded. On the other hand, if the evaporation is more and the precipitation is less, then of course you are facing dry conditions as such. In fact, कोपेनच्या नंतर एक क्लासिफिकेशन आलं, थॉर्नटवेटचं क्लासिफिकेशन, and he used drought as a condition in which the amount of water lost in transpiration and direct evaporation exceeds the amount of available water available in the soil. Okay, त्याचं सगळं कॅल्क्युलेशन जे होतं, इट वॉज बेस्ड ऑन अ कन्सेप्ट विच इज कॉल्ड एज इव्हॅपोट्रान्सपिरेशन, की तिथे पाऊस किती पडतोय आणि तो पावसाचं बाष्पीकरण किती होत आहे. Okay, and that's called as evapotranspiration. And accordingly, we see that he relates permanent drought being associated with, just a moment, let me see where I've put this so that I can make you see that as well. He points घेतोय मी. Permanent drought associated with arid climate, permanent drought that can occur as a result of distinct dry season in a particular climate. म्हणजे आपल्याकडे आपण पाहतो की शक्यतो एप्रिल मे मध्ये प्रोडक्ट घेत नाही, बेसिकली बिकॉज दिस इज अ व्हेरी हॉट पिरियड फॉर द इंडियन सबकॉन्टिनेंट. Okay, so that's the second point. And drought due to variability of rainfall. की बऱ्याच वेळेस आपण पाहतो की द फार्मर्स आर एक्सपेक्टिंग द रेन इन अ पर्टिक्युलर मंथ अराउंड अ पर्टिक्युलर डेट. म्हणजे असं पूर्वी म्हटलं जायचं की महाराष्ट्रात साधारण 7 जूनच्या आसपास पाऊस जो आहे हा मुंबई पुण्यापर्यंत पोहोचतो. आता पहिली गोष्ट, इफ इट डज नॉट रीच ऑन द 7th, की तुम्ही त्याची वाट बघताय, तुम्ही म्हणताय 7 जूनला पाऊस पडेल, नाही पडला, दॅट्स वन व्हेरिएबिलिटी. आणि असंही होऊ शकतं की 7 तारखेला पडला अँड यू आर एक्सपेक्टिंग इट टू फॉल फॉर द सबसिक्वेंट डेट्स ऑल्सो, बट इट डज नॉट. म्हणजे 2 पावसामधला गॅप जो आहे हा वाढला तर तरी सुद्धा की तुमचं शेतीचं उत्पादनावर याचा प्रचंड इम्पॅक्ट हा होऊ शकतो. दिस वन मोर पॉइंट that we need to these 3 points are enough. Okay, you'll see that potential evapotranspiration, okay, हे आपण जे Thorntved's classification is based on this, is the amount of water is available that would be evaporated from the soil and transpired from the plants. Okay, so this is something which is we need to keep in mind as far as moisture and its availability for uh, a particular crop is concerned. फक्त झाडांना पाणी लागतं हे एक जनरल स्टेटमेंट झालं, पण हे पाणी, this moisture, how is it related to the growth and health of an agricultural produce, is something that a student learning agricultural geography has to keep in mind as such. Okay, then we'll move ahead to the next section. Sunshine. Okay, you'll see that it's again a very important aspect because sunshine is directly related to photosynthesis. Okay, photosynthesis पहा इथे दिसतंय तुम्हाला. हे डायरेक्ट आहे की पानांचं हिरवं दिसणं, की क्लोरोफिल आणि फोटोसिंथेसिस या प्रोसेसमुळे इट्स व्हेरी इम्पॉर्टंट. Okay, and next aspect is photoperiodism. What is photoperiodism? Photoperiodism is related to blossoming of flowers in daylight. Okay, so that's another issue. Of course, there are some flowers which bloom at night, but majority of the flowers are going to bloom towards the daytime. Okay, as it's already mentioned earlier and it's written here that photoperiodism, sorry, yeah, blossoming of flowers in daylight is referred to photoperiodism. Okay, yachavar, you'll see that it is further divided into short day plants and long day plants. Now, what are short day plants? Okay, you'll see that sorry, short day plants need a short day, 12 तासाचा, for their growth, blossoming and fruitification, and long day require a long day, 15-hour day. म्हणजे काय तर this is related to something that happens in higher latitudes. आपल्या इथे साधारण आपण पाहतो की इक्वेटरच्या आसपास, नाउ वन्स अगेन this is related, now these are climatic factors, so obviously we have to get back to some points that we have already done in climatology. Near the equator, the length of the day and the night is more or less divided into 12 hours and 12 nights, and 12 hours of day and 12 hours of night. And as you go away from the equator, you'll see that the duration of the day and night will differ into each other depending on which hemisphere has a summer and which the hemisphere has a winter. Obviously, the hemisphere having the summer is going to have a longer daytime, and the hemisphere having winter is going to have a longer night time. Okay, so सनशाईन म्हणजे नेमकं काय, एनर्जी जी लागते केमिकल रिॲक्शन्सला, मग ती फोटोसिंथेसिससाठी लागणारी एनर्जी असू दे किंवा त्या 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 ते जी कळी असते त्याचं फूल किंवा त्या फुलाचं पुन्हा फळ होण्यामध्ये जी सगळी प्रोसेस असते, केमिकल प्रोसेस, ती केमिकल प्रोसेस फायर होण्याकरता, ती प्रोसेस केमिकल प्रोसेस ही ऑपरेट होण्याकरता काही एनर्जी लागते. दिस एनर्जी कम्स फ्रॉम द सन directly as a consequence, and there is no other source as such. And that's why you will see that sunshine plays an important role as far as the quality of the crop is concerned. तुम्ही पहा की जेव्हा एखादं एखादं पीक बहरून येतं, कापणीला येतं, ओके, तो सीझन हा नॉर्मली हा आपण म्हणूयात की जास्तीत जास्त म्हणजे टेम्परेचर वाईज म्हणत नाहीये. एक्सपोजर ऑफ सनलाइट नीड्स टू बी more. That's another aspect that we have to keep in mind. So, short day plants and long day plants. Uh, the short day, particularly in higher latitudes, and long days in lower latitudes as such. Okay, then wind and another climatic aspect which plays an important role now. Wind, we have seen in evaporation that wind plays an important role. As far as evaporation is concerned, wind plays an important role. As far as the duration of rainfall is concerned, आपण पाहतो की वारा असेल तर पाऊस बऱ्याच वेळेस तो स्वतःबरोबर घेऊन जातो. अर्थात बऱ्याच वेळेस विंड पाऊस घेऊन सुद्धा येतो. बट इफ कंडिशन्स आर विंडी, जेवढ्या जोरात पाऊस येईल, जोरात म्हणजे एका दिशेने पाऊस येईल, तेवढाच तो पुढे सुद्धा वाऱ्याच्या दिशेने निघून जाण्याची शक्यता असते. At the same time, you'll see that the rate of evaporation is going to be higher if you're going to have wind. हे सगळं आपण इव्हॅपोरेशन केलं क्लायमेटॉलॉजीमध्ये, तेव्हा हे सगळं आपण पाहिलेलं आहे. सो सी देर इज अ डेफिनेट रिलेशनशिप बिटवीन physical geography and human geography, and that is why I always keep on saying that we should not be compartmentalizing geography into these. अभ्यास करण्यापुरतं ठीक आहे, पण त्याचा इम्पॅक्ट जो आहे, that is going to be a cumulative impact, and that's what needs to be seen as such. Okay, so uh, that's about wind. And you'll see that wind velocity जी आहे त्याच्यावर तुमचं इव्हॅपोरेशन, इव्हॅपोट्रान्सपिरेशन, ऑल ऑफ दिस इज गोइंग टू बी डिपेंडंट ऑन दॅट. ओके, आणि ह्याचा सगळ्याचा अभ्यास जो आहे, फेनॉलॉजी इज द सायन्स दॅट रिलेट्स क्लायमेट टू द ग्रोथ अँड डेव्हलपमेंट ऑफ प्लांट अँड ॲनिमल लाईफ. ओके, हे आयसोफेन्स जे आहे, दिस इज अन इंटरेस्टिंग थिंग. जसे आपण फिजिकल जॉग्रफीमध्ये आयसोलाईन्स पाहत असतो. Okay, isolines are points, lines joining points of equal value. मग contours मध्ये these are lines joining points of equal altitude. Then you have isobars, you have isotherms. तसंच त्यांनी इथे isofens सुद्धा आयडेंटिफाय केलेले आहेत. These are lines joining places that where wheat ripens on the same date. आता हे थोडंसं अमेरिकन लिटरेचर टेक्स्ट मधलं आहे. Okay, you'll see that एका पर्टिक्युलर सीझनमध्ये त्या त्या पर्टिक्युलर क्रॉपच्या कणसामध्ये दाणे जसे भरायला लागतात, ती तिथी म्हणू आपण, ती तारीख म्हणू. ओके, आणि ती तारीख जर अनेक एरियामध्ये सेम असेल तर, अँड यू ड्रॉ अ लाईन जॉईनिंग सच एरियाज, दॅट्स गोइंग टू बी कॉल्ड ॲज अन आयसोफेन. ओके, याचा सुद्धा अभ्यास केला जातो ॲग्रिकल्चरमध्ये. Then you come to another important aspect, and that is going to be called as soil. Okay, you'll see that just as reef was important, just as climate was important, okay, you'll see that soil is equally important. Okay, climate मध्ये temperature, moisture, all of that was also important. Here, sunshine was important in climate as such. Here, the next aspect which plays an important role in crop cultivation is going to be soils. Soil is something which is very basic to a plant, uh, just like other aspects. But I would say that soil is more important to any plant as such. Okay, and there are various aspects of this of a soil that we need to look into. And as far as that thing is concerned, we will take it up when we meet tomorrow. I'm going to stop here for a small uh, session of interaction with you all. I'll stop sharing here and I'll come back to our now. If you have any queries with regards to your topics, as far as I know, the students attending today have already posted their titles, presentation titles on the group. So I'll make a list of that. We are going to come up with this presentation on 12th, 13th, and 14th, as already announced yesterday. I will stop the recording here.